Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Viewer Discretion is Advised. I am your host, Mike. And joining me today, as always, we have our good friend Jay, as well as the notorious Gator. How are you guys doing?
Hey, doing well, Mike.
Doing good.
So, wanted to just talk about a few things in today's podcast. I know that the Kenobi show just came out, so maybe we can start with that. I've been a huge Star Wars fan forever. I think Gator, I was telling you just a little earlier today, my parents took me to the Phantom Menace. We went on vacation when I was in fifth grade. And I mean, I've been completely hooked on the Star Wars series ever since. And, it's funny for me, like the original series never really did it for me. It was really the prequels that got me into it. But I don't know about you guys, but obviously I've been a huge Star Wars fan forever. So I've been kind of glued to the action, so to speak, that's been going on with Star Wars Celebration, all that jazz this weekend.
Yeah, same, Mike. I just remember being at my grandparents as a kid watching A New Hope, and all the cousins were gathered around at my grandpa's TV in the basement, and I'm watching this. I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. I loved like the characters. I loved the droids. I loved all of it. So I was kind of hooked right away. And then, my parents went and bought the movie series after that. And we, watched the VHS tapes hundreds of times and probably wore them out by the end of it. But I was hooked right away too.
Jay, I know you. Well, Jay and I went to high school together, and we used to. And I know we were in choir, so we had high school choir together, and we went on a trip again. We went on a trip to California, Los Angeles, and I remember when we went on that trip. So I think I was a junior. Jay, you were a sophomore in high school, and episode 3 was like, I don't know if it had just come out or it was just about to come out. I can't remember. But we were all hooked on Star Wars. And in fact, we went to one thing we did is we went to Disneyland, and we all bought lightsabers. And
This was
we like,
before Disney owned Star Wars too.
yeah, well, it was before Disney obviously owned Star Wars. And we went to Disneyland and bought like lightsabers and started battling lightsabers, and we ended up like almost getting kicked out of the park because we came across, because I think Pirates of the Caribbean came out at the same time, and they had these other kids that were about our age, and they had these little swashbuckler like little plastic swords, but they were like really flimsy. And so we like went over and started bullying them, and we ended up like breaking their swords with our lightsabers. And so like the security got all on us, and we got like this huge warning, and we almost got kicked out. It's actually a really funny story. But Jay, obviously I know you're a Star Wars fan too, but what really originally got you into the franchise?
Well, it'd have to be mid '90s maybe. I remember just being at a friend's house, and this was when I had to move overseas when I wasn't in Minnesota for a while, for like 2 years. And
Sure.
we were at a friend's house in Germany, and he had just like a massive VHS collection of just like every movie you could think of. And we were there for a couple weeks, family friends, and I remember just sitting in that basement and just playing all of the original Star Wars VHS, back to back. A New Hope, um, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And I just remember watching it. And I just remember, I don't know. I just remember I didn't know the reason why I was so attached to it, but I just binged those 3 movies. But obviously my favorite is probably The Empire Strikes Back of the original trilogy. But yeah, I'm not as I'm a big fan of Knights of the Old Republic, all that.
Yeah.
I really love those games.
Battlefront.
Yeah,
Well,
Battlefront's a good
yeah,
one too.
The
But
original Battlefront was
the
amazing.
original. Yeah, maybe we'll
the
preface
original,
that. Yeah,
On
yeah.
Xbox, I put hundreds of hours into that.
That was an excellent game. Excellent
Yeah.
game. it's really sad actually what ended up becoming of it. But
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
hopefully that they'll have another opportunity at some point down the road.
They got greedy with the second one, and yeah, it obviously flopped pretty hard. I think I played like an hour or two of it after I bought it. I'm like, this is lame, and just they turned it into what a pay to win type of thing.
Basically, yeah. I mean that sucked, and I mean to me like they're not the only game that did that, but like for me, like I remember my brother and I got the game, and I was like so excited. Any Star Wars game that comes out, I'm just like jacked, right? And I get the game, and there's no story. I'm like, what?
Right.
Wait, where's the story?
They're
Oh,
just
and so yeah, I was disappointed to say the least.
they just threw you into massive battles and said, "Here you go, make your own story."
Yeah, well, the
I watched
story was like
the
a tutorial. It was like here's how you play the game. All right, go play it now.
Oh, you mean like a single player story mode?
they
Yeah,
gave
yeah.
it for free on PlayStation too. I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of the free games you could get every month.
Yeah,
Oh, the Squadron game. Yeah, I
No,
never
it was
played
a
it.
Battlefront game.
Oh, Battlefront. Oh, okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
I think I remember that. I think they did go free for a little while to probably get a bigger player base, but it didn't end up taking off.
For sure. Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about the Kenobi series because I can't help myself. I know Jay watched it. Gator, you told me you haven't, so we're gonna make sure we keep it kind of a spoiler-free discussion.
I'm
Um,
watching as soon as I'm watching later tonight. So
Have you
spoiler free,
watched?
please.
Have you
yeah,
watched the prequels, like the second installment, like the Phantom Menace, and
Oh yeah,
okay, so yeah, it just takes place like right after the Revenge of the Sith.
right after the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, like 10 years.
10 years. Yeah, very good, Jay.
Okay,
So,
nice.
so to give you guys a little historical lesson. Um, so episode 3, like Order 66, that takes place in the year 19 BBY, and it's kind of like BC years, and they date, from like obviously they go negative right up to 0, and BBY basically stands for like the Battle of Yavin or whatever. And the Kenobi show takes place in the year 9 BBY. So yeah, 10 years, which is kind of like the halfway mark. But what I'll say between that and New Hope, I mean, what I'll say is that I obviously ate it up. I absolutely love the series. There's one particular curveball. Jay, I don't think we can talk about it because Gator hasn't seen it. But there's one character that they feature on the show that you don't expect, and they do such a phenomenal job with it. I absolutely loved it. Jay, I think you know what I'm talking about.
I think so.
I don't think we
Maybe
can.
not. Maybe not. Maybe it's the. Is it the? Is it white face guy?
It's a female character.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yes. Yeah. No,
I
you
mean,
get
I'm looking at the cast list, so I can maybe make
it. Hey,
an assumption.
if you want to spoil yourself, Gator, we'll talk about it all day long.
No, I'm good. I'm just interested to see the cast list, though. We get Hayden Christensen back as Darth Vader. That's cool to
Yes.
see him come back. Um, Obviously, much older than the original prequel trilogy, but um, you know,
Which is actually fits very fitting, right?
yeah. And it looks like
So
Ice Cube's son is in a few episodes, which is interesting. I see Flea. I know Jay texted us the other day and said Flea, the
yeah,
Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist, is in a couple episodes.
yeah, I think he did a good job, JG.
And
I
then, of
thought he did
course,
well.
Ewan McGregor is a goat actor.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolute legend. Train Spotting. Come on now, he's he's amazing.
for sure. Like him and Samuel L. Those two were like the shining jewels of the prequels. I mean, there's so much. People say it's just a hot pile of garbage,
Whoa,
and
whoa, whoa, whoa!
yeah.
What about what about Count Dooku, Christopher?
Ooh,
Yeah,
Christopher Lloyd, is that it?
No.
Or is
What's
Christopher? What is his name?
Christopher Lee.
There you go, Christopher Lee. Yeah, no, well, he's a legendary
yeah.
actor, and he did very good. Did you know? So they just revealed it. I watched like they leaked the trailer. So they're making like a kind of like a Rebels Clone Wars type feel series that's based pre Phantom Menace, and so they going back to the era, and so like Anakin's in it, Ahsoka's in it, Obi-Wan's in it, Qui-Gon's in it, and Count Dooku's in it pre like before he turns. So he's in it as a member of like the Jedi Council, like as a Jedi Master. So that's
And
Oh,
yeah,
trained by
super
Yoda.
excited. Yeah, well, of course
well,
Yoda.
they're just gonna do it with like how successful all this stuff has been, Mandalorian, and now Disney owning it, and they can just put millions of dollars behind the production of these series. They're just gonna go and go and go until they run out of stuff. But realistically, they can probably just keep creating separate timelines to keep going off too, or separate storylines to keep going off of.
Yeah. So one other thing they're doing. So they're doing a show called Acolyte, and it's going to take place 100 years like before the Phantom Menace. So, and it's going to be like Sith focused, and it's going to show like how the Sith like came up and like kind of did their like all their shit, behind the scenes to like really kind of explains like how they came to power in the way that they did. Um, and ultimately ended up overthrowing the Jedi, but I think if you're aware, Gator, it is canon. So Darth Plagueis the Wise was the big bad guy prior to Sidious. Sidious was his apprentice, and it will be before Sidious is born. But I think because Plagueis is kind of like, I forget what his species is, but I think they age like much like they live for over a normal human lifetime. So I think we're gonna get Darth Plagueis for the first time, which is
Ooh.
pretty cool.
I see. I like that's what I liked about Knights of the Old Republic is being able to take that dark path. Like I like that kind of stuff when you can dip into the Sith. When you can follow the light and be a Jedi, or you can go the other way and be dark and
Oh, for sure.
be evil.
Yeah, and it's so funny. Like, it's just so much more fun to play the game if it's evil. To be honest, it's like you
The
get. I
stronger.
remember. Yeah, you're so in like I remember like one of the first things like when you get like maybe a couple hours into the original Knights of the Old Republic, like you you like go to this little droid shop, right? And this guy's like, "Oh, I got this droid here, and well, I'll give him to you for like 3,000 credits." And it's just like, okay, I barely even have like a few hundred right now. And then you have the option of being like choosing a dark side option, just saying, "Give it to me for free." It's like, okay, I think I'll take it for free.
Right? Yeah, it's
But
like, oh, I could play the white hat, and oh, guess I'll
you know
save
what?
up my credits and go
No,
do some
I'll
side
go.
missions.
Yeah, I'll go back to being good later.
Or you can play dark hat and start electrocuting the store owner and take it from him.
Trust me, though, I'm a good guy. Otherwise, but I swear, it's just the credits. It's credits. That's all.
I just can't afford it, so I'm gonna zap you until you give it to me.
It's all right. I'll save some people in the hallway later, and that'll bring my light side points back up. So I'm
Yeah, yeah. The scale.
good.
Well, the
Yeah.
great thing about Knights of the Old Republic is, for people that have played it on the Xbox, and then for folks that have kept playing it, and then they got they released it for mobile, so you could actually buy it for like a couple bucks and play it on your phone. But the best path in Knights of the Old Republic is the Jolie Bindo path. And that's where you're not fully light or fully dark. You're just a gray Jedi. You're right in the middle of the karma.
Huh.
Yes, the gray Jedi. Because, that way you can take advantage of Jedi heal, right? Which is like the light side power you want. but then you can just be an asshole when you want to be an asshole,
Force
like
choke or whatever it's called.
force
You're
choke.
actually it's the hardest way to play that game, other than not being a Jedi at all and just sticking to lasers and
Yeah.
rifles.
Yeah, especially in the first game. So that was like a big thing. Like I remember I made a video, I talked about it. Like one of the big gripes a lot of people had was with HK-47. I mean, everyone loves the character, but he wasn't really on the same par as the Jedi characters, right? And they ended up kind of fixing that in the second game, even though he's not available to like the last like 20% of the game. But yeah, that was kind of like a big thing. Like, I wish they maybe would have made some of the ranged characters, especially like the blaster people, like just maybe a little bit more balanced, or so you'd have a little motivation to play them, because like every time you play the game, you're playing as Jedi. If you know how you're doing, you're playing as a Jedi. Everyone is.
I mean, if you want to have a comfortable playthrough, you go Jedi. But I mean, I remember I did one playthrough where I had HK and I had the Mandalorian guy,
Yeah.
and then I had blasters too, and that was my team. I just used those three because yeah, it was most people would just pick a party of three Jedi, including yourself.
Yeah, but there's obviously an advantage to doing it from a role playing experience, and that's what made the game so good, right? So like you could go back and for people that weren't like in the min max mentality, or especially if you played your first playthrough, you could go back and do something like that. It's gonna be a little more challenging to get through the game, but it's really funny. Like HK-47 has so many good one liners if you do play with them,
Yeah.
and that's what makes them so memorable. But yeah, I mean, I guess we won't spend too much time talking on Star Wars. One more thing I'll mention is the trailer dropped for Jedi Fallen Order 2. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to see that, but that looks kind of juicy. It's called so the game is going to be called Jedi. So Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And so the trailer is kind of basically you got this like dark force user that's going to be kind of an antagonist, and then there's this mysterious guy in this Bacta tank, which I kind of have a theory for. I just made a video about. But that should be exciting, and obviously, I actually really liked Fallen Order. I thought it was refreshing, especially when it's a linear game. It's not an open world game, but if you understand what it is, I mean, and you're willing to approach it that way, I actually really held a deep appreciation for it, especially after what we got from Battlefront, really. So to me, I'd say it's probably the best Star Wars game that has come out since Knights of the Old Republic. And I don't know what you guys' thoughts are.
I mean, I do stutter. I watch a lot of Let's Plays, and I've watched most of that game played through. But the thing for me is I want to watch like the cinematics more than anything, and from what the majority of players, the players that played, um, what is it, the Fallen Order, the first one, um, they say that the game, you're pretty much you're a very strong Jedi, and the boss fights, they can be pretty tricky at first. Once you learn the mechanics and the moves, you really don't have um, too much of a
Yep.
hard time.
No,
And
no.
when you get to the end of the game, the cinematic revealing Darth Vader, that whole cinematic where he just rises up, he kills his Inquisitor because she failed him, and she just
Yep.
flings the other the other. I think she was an Inquisitor that was trying to go to the light side. Just flings
Oh
her off the
man,
ledge.
Gator, you
And
got to see that scene. Like, you don't need to play the game, but
you
that
don't even need
scene.
to play the game,
Oh my God,
but he
we were
just
just
he just
talking about Rogue One. Remember in the hallway scene with Vader, right? And
yeah.
how that
Yep.
felt. It's the same. You feel the same. It's just like, oh shit, he's there. Oh, that's right. He's around. Oh man, it's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
That's in Fallen Order.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of like the
Oh, cool.
climax of the end of the game.
Oh,
And
oh,
yeah.
I was gonna say one more thing I will mention is actually my girlfriend and I started playing a Lego Star Wars game, and it's
Oh,
actually
cool.
really really fun. And and it's a co-op, split screen co-op, which
Sure.
you don't see a lot anymore these days. So
No,
yeah, we've had some fun just kind of playing that and figuring out the little puzzles that they give you, and yeah, just it has a nice team aspect to it, and the gameplay isn't too hard for her especially, and we just run around,
that's cool.
building Legos essentially.
Yeah, no, that is cool. Like, so I've played a Lego Star Wars game in the past, but it was kind of an older one. I think it was maybe on like a PS3 game. Do you is it a new is it a new game like?
Oh, the one we got, hang on, it's right over here. Um, I forget. No, it's not the brand new one. It's a few years old, but it's one of the sequel trilogy games.
Okay,
Um, it's
cool.
the
So,
it's the Lego game for that, and we just went up to GameStop and picked up a used copy, and
oh, fun.
yeah, it's been pretty because we wanted a game that we could play together, and
It's a good
on the
one.
same screen on the same console. So yeah, and this one's been perfect. So there's an idea for you out there who don't know what you want to play with your girl or significant other.
Gator's got your back. Fantastic. No, that's awesome to hear. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying it. That's great. So
I
moving
just want
on.
to
I
add
mean,
one thing
oh yeah.
before we move on. Rogue One, out of all like the movies that were made, Force Awakens, um, like this installment of the series, Rogue One is my favorite movie because of A, that Darth Vader scene, and B, the director, um, Gareth Edwards. He's not a very big director. I mean, he did Rogue One, but he did a movie before that in 2010 called Monsters, and it's a very 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 good movie. But yeah, I just the way he made Rogue One, he went back into all of the artwork from the original three movies, and he tried to stay as true to that art as possible for his movie, which I really really liked. That's why when you watch Rogue One and you watch um, The Force Awakens and then Rise of Skywalker, you notice that a lot of the art and the costumes that the guys are wearing in Rogue One match the original trilogy more so. And so I just really like that.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people like Rogue One. I'm kind of like, man, and people are probably, judge me if you want, but like I need to have a Jedi or a lightsaber or something in a movie.
You got
So
Donnie Yen though.
we
You have the
did. No,
boy.
so it saved it. It saved it for me. It saved it for me. The holiday
That's
Yeah,
season.
the
Donnie
So
that's the
Yen.
Darth Maul, right? The young
yeah,
Darth Maul.
right, right, right. So,
No,
you know,
Donnie Yen. It was
Oh yeah,
he was
he's
the
like
blind
the monk, the blind monk guy, right?
guy. I'm one with the Force, and the Force is one with me.
um, Skip on.
Yeah, that guy was a great character.
Donnie Yen. If you ever listen to this, you're one of my heroes.
Oh, he's
He's another
fantastic.
legend.
Fantastic at
He's a
martial arts.
legend.
Yeah.
Ip Man movies, just
It
yeah,
man.
all around
Oh
great guy.
gosh.
When he fights Mike Tyson, now we're going on a tangent about Donnie Yen, but he's just a good actor, great actor.
He's a good actor. I'm just saying they should have gave him a lightsaber. That's all.
He had a stick instead,
Yeah, kind of boring, but it's
a
okay. It's okay.
staff.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. We're fine. But yeah. So another thing we want to talk about. Jay told me that you have seen Batman, and I think we've all seen Batman. So just kind of want to touch a little bit on that movie. I really enjoyed it, and I think that I really hope to see. I hope to see like what they do. Like obviously, I think a few things about the movie. I think that their take on it was really different and contemporary. I really loved like the Kurt Cobain aspect and kind of pulling in like kind of that grunge feel to the movie, and really it kind of really made Gotham look and feel just different than it had before. And I really loved Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I thought he did fantastic.
See, I have a different take on the Batman movie than you guys, I think.
Go for it.
I mean, I thought it was good, but I didn't like. Obviously, Colin Farrell. When I found out he was Penguin, I was like, "That's cool." And Paul Dano, There'll Be Blood, a little bit of Sunshine. Guy's got a bunch of credits under his belt. He's great as Riddler. But the one thing I did like about the Batman was, Batman back when he came out, he was a detective, DC's Detective Comics, and in the Batman they did a great job of portraying him doing detective work. But I agree
Yeah,
with
they
you on
did.
how Gotham looked. But I mean, the movie was like the pacing of it could have been. I don't know. I think it could have been. They could have done something a little bit different there. Um, and then everyone's going to say, well, it's like you said, you have the standalone Joaquin Phoenix movie, and then you have Christian Bale and, the Dark Knight and Batman Begins. Actually, I didn't really think it was that good of a movie when I first saw it. Because I was a hard, diehard, um,
Yeah.
diehard
Loved it.
original Batman. What's his name? God, what's his name?
Michael Keaton
Michael Keaton. He was my
Adam West.
or
guy.
George Clooney.
We were
No,
cute.
wait. Val
The
Kilmer.
Batman Adam West was like way before us. Like
He's the OG.
we could catch like a couple episodes, but that was before our time. So
Boom,
we
pow, bang.
we really had Michael Keaton. So when the Batman Begins came out, I thought that his voice was a little over the top, Christian Bale's voice, and I liked Liam Neeson in it because you can't go wrong with Liam Neeson. But when
Yes.
The Dark Knight came out, that movie was
Oh,
just unbelievably good, like
yeah.
just so good. And
That's the one
so,
with Heath Ledger.
Yep.
yeah, with
Yeah,
Heath. And
that's the
so,
best one.
going back to this new Batman movie, I'd say it's pretty good. That they did a lot of the crime stuff with the what is it, the Filoni family and the
Falcone.
the
Yeah.
Falcone and the what's the other one? The other family. I wish that they would have done more with those families because those are like super old Batman villains, like probably even before Joker, I would think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I mean, I would say it was a good movie, but I wasn't like wowed by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. Gator, what do you think about it?
I'm kind of with Jay. I thought it was good. I think it was too long. So, and that threw off the
Yeah.
pacing some. The scene in the when they're in the church, that was an amazing scene. That was great. That was great cinematography and great suspense all the way through.
Over the car crashes,
Yep,
and yeah, that was pretty good.
that was a good scene.
It's a
And
good
actually,
movie. It's a good movie. Like it's just is it The Dark Knight? Is it Joker?
no, no, it's I'd say it's a tier below those two. Those two are S tier. Those ones maybe B, A tier.
Yeah.
As far as ranking Batman movies go, um, for me, a big part of these movies is how good Batman is, and I don't really know if I like Robert Pattinson as Batman that much.
Oh, okay.
He's kind
Yeah.
of an emo bitch in this movie, but
Well, he kind of is
Robert
in
Pattinson, if
general
you're
and
listening, my
everything. Yeah.
friend Gator called you an
Yeah.
emo bitch.
and maybe he's playing more true to character than you know uh, as it happens in the comics and stuff. And he did lose both his parents, and he's been raised as a
Yeah.
billionaire his whole without parents his whole life. So understandable why he would be like that. Just I don't know. I didn't really care for him as much
I did
as
like
Batman.
Alfred. Alfred was Andy Serkis.
Yeah, Alfred was good. Paul Dano good. Gordon was good. I like Jeffrey Wright. I think he's awesome in Westworld too.
Oh yeah,
I
I
love
oh yeah.
love Westworld. So I know we could go off on another tangent about that, but he's good in that. Um, and
That
then
that show, man. Let's just go on a tangent a little bit. That show, man. Like,
season 4,
is
they
it?
just
See, I'm at
just
the
teased
part
it
where
last week, I
Jesse
think.
Pinkman. I'm at the season where Jesse Pinkman comes in.
Yeah, that's season 3.
From Breaking Bad, I've only seen the first episode or first season. I really liked the first season, but yeah,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
a lot of
he
people
was
don't
great in
like
the first season. I remember he was really good.
season 1 and 2 are great. With Anthony Hopkins, obviously, and then season 3 gets a bad rap, but I really liked it. I thought it was good, and then now they just teased season 4 like last week or 2 weeks ago, and that looks great as well. And a whole lot of familiar faces are coming back, so yeah, I'm excited for it, and it's HBO. Awesome. Anything on HBO is usually gold.
have Evan Rachel Wood in it too. You can't go wrong with her. She's pretty.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty.
Although another side tangent, have you heard the stuff about her and Marilyn Manson?
Yeah,
Like,
that's why I mentioned that to get you to
Was
say
she like
something.
one of her like victims, like or whatever?
there's some weird shit. Like, yeah,
So
like
Marilyn Manson used to have he had a
locker in
music
rooms and
video.
stuff.
You remember his
50
video
Shades of
game?
Grey type thing or whatever.
No,
Uh,
way worse than that.
darker
It's
than that.
way darker.
Darker than that. Oh wow.
Like,
He used to have a video. He had a
yep.
video for one of his albums, and it was really cut imagery of a girl, and the girl is Evan Rachel Wood, and she's it looks like she's straight up being abused in the video, but you can't really tell because the camera angles and how it's zoomed in and the blur effect on it is just you can only take it at face value. When she went in front of a hearing and I remember you probably watched that Gator, but yeah, that was crazy.
It's like a snuff film almost.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. And all that is allegedly too, but there's some pretty dark, sadistic stuff that Marilyn used to do to her, allegedly. So
and then you have Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit saying some crazy things about him too, which is kind of wow, really.
they were freaky, into the freaky stuff. But yeah, overall, good movie. Too long, pacing was weird, and Pattinson was just all right for me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with your points. So, like, I think the end of the movie dragged, and he. Here's my take on him as Batman. I really liked him as Batman, but I need to see more from him and see how his character evolves in the next film before I make an assessment of like
Yeah,
him compared to others. Because to me, I feel like it was very intentional the way and the little emo way he was. In that it's going to take more films
there's going to be
for
some
him.
character
Yes,
development.
there's going to be some
Gotcha.
because like
That makes sense.
the big thing with him is like that's different because he's so new to Batman is that like he just wants to do everything Batman and he doesn't want to embrace the Bruce Wayne aspect of his alter ego. And I think that's the huge dynamic with him that I'd like to see evolve is like, kind of maybe into the second and third film to see him actually like really have to embrace that other alter ego of himself in order to understand the benefit of doing that in order to be able to be as successful as he can be as Batman, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so
I think
I
he's
think
a
yeah,
I think he's a great actor. Don't
yeah,
get me
sure.
wrong. I think he's a
Yeah.
fantastic actor. The
Oh, I
Lighthouse.
do
You guys see
too.
that one?
Yeah, with Willem Dafoe, the movie is fucked up, but it's
That was
great.
a fucked up. That was a fucked up movie.
He was good in it, though. I mean, I just think he's a good actor overall. But yeah,
For sure.
maybe you're right, and yeah, maybe I'm seeing it completely wrong. But yeah, there
Or
could
maybe
be
I'm
some.
wrong.
There's plenty of room
Yeah.
for character development over however many movies that they decide to roll with
Yeah.
him.
Have you seen the movie he did with Tom Holland where he plays a preacher and he preys on
I have not. That sounds
No,
interesting.
it's called The Devil. I think I got this right. It's The Devil. Something the devil.
I don't know. Pattinson's in it.
Yeah, it's called The Devil All the Time, and it's basically set during I want to say 40s, 50s, maybe even Depression era, but yeah, it's a very dark movie, very dark.
Huh. I'll put that on the list to watch. No, I haven't seen it. I haven't even heard of it. So, no, sounds interesting.
It's a movie that Tom Holland does that's rated R.
Bill
So
Skarsgård is in it.
yeah, Bill Skarsgård. I think the guy that plays the Winter Soldier, the Ukrainian American actor guy. He's in it as well.
Cool. I'll check it out.
Good stuff, man. All right, well let's talk on. I know we want to talk some more video games. Let's go into some other games. Jay, you have had. I know we talked about Elden Ring in a previous episode, but Jay, I don't think you had even started playing the game yet. And for me, I've never been a big fan of Dark Souls or the franchise. In fact, I don't even Bloodborne, which was the best to me, probably doesn't even make my top 100 games. But I would say Elden Ring is a vast exception to that. I would probably put that up. I'd probably say Elden Ring's probably maybe top 25 for me. But I know Jay, you really love the game, so I mean, yeah, feel free to go out on a tangent. What aspects you like about it, and I'm assuming you're still playing it.
Oh, he's playing it.
Let's just put it this way. I've had it for a little bit over two. I haven't played it in about 5 days now, 4 days now, because I like to, give myself a little break. And but within these 2 weeks, I've probably put in maybe over 80, at least to 100 hours of game.
Wow.
And you got Hidetaki Miyazaki, and you got George R. R. Martin, and I mean, we probably mentioned this before in the other video, but it's like you got a Lord of the Rings Greek god Mount Olympus story. All the bosses, all the lore in the game, all of the voice actors in the game are they're professional, British trained actors. Even in Japan, they don't even do a Japanese dialogue for the game. They just do it all in English, and then they translate with Japanese characters or letters. And yeah, the game it's so good. If you're a Dark Souls fan, I played Demon Souls a little bit, and then as you grow up, you don't get a lot of time to just find and play all these games that you want all the time. But we got Bloodborne
Sure.
for free on PlayStation, and I love Bloodborne. Bloodborne I 100% achieved everything I could with the PlayStation achievements on that game, and I love that game. So with Elden Ring, I'm like level, I don't know, 80 or level 100. And I haven't even gotten to the fire giant yet. I'm just exploring and invading uh and I'm just enjoying everything about the game. I'm enjoying all of the weapons, all the builds that people are coming out with. Uh, it's a fantastic game. It's definitely probably my top 10, top 5 games of all time, and
I
it's
have
only
a
been out 2 weeks.
I have a question for you guys. What's the multiplayer like? Because I've seen you talk a little bit about it, Jay, but I guess I'm curious what the whole multiplayer gameplay
Sure.
is like.
Yeah, I guess I'll start. So I think I'm like 154 or something level in the game. I've beaten the game. I've also like
You
beaten
let's be clear. Let's be clear. You've beaten one ending of the game.
one ending of the game,
Okay.
and I've also like beaten like the try hard like boss. But what I'll say is like how I was able to do that was multiplayer. Like doing like the fire giant where you're about to do Jay on, like I pretty much fought every boss cooperatively. And
Oh,
and that's what kind of helped propel me through that. Some of those bosses, like, so I'll just, you don't need to know whatever, Jay. It's not a spoiling thing. There's a boss called Belania at the end. She's like the try hard one.
Oh,
Like
I've seen streamers
she,
go against her.
it took me like a dozen tries to beat her, like with two other people, like, because she has like this life steal on hit thing, and my God, it's so hard to avoid like her little like I don't know her move.
Or,
Her
or
move with
combo
it.
moves.
She's basically got a Sephiroth sword, and
Yeah.
she fucks you up with it. And but like I was able to beat the game because of cooperative play. And so the way it works is like, every boss you go up to, which is kind of nice. I mean, this is something I like because this would be something that would annoy me about other Dark Souls games is that I have this as an option where I can kind of get some help. And it can be kind of hit or miss, but every boss kind of has like a little stand that you go to, and then you turn on the stand, and then you have an item that you can. It's like a resource you gather, like blue mountain flower, right? In the game, so you go out and you pick blue mountain flower, and then you can, when you get 2 blue mountain flower, you can create this item that summons people, and then you summon them to your instance, so to speak, and then they'll do the battle fight. They'll do the fight with you, and if they end up helping you defeat the boss, they end up getting like 50% of the experience or something.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, yeah. So there are some limitations because like they do have like summons. So like, like almost like Final Fantasy style. Like you can. There's dozens of them in the game, and you can basically summon creatures that help you. But if you do cooperative play, you can't do that. But I wouldn't say that all the bosses after the fire giant I needed help with because that's actually not true. I would say maybe 60% of them. The rest of them I usually could just what I would do is I would try the boss first on my own, and if I beat them the first try, I wouldn't summon help. But if I didn't, then I would summon help. And so maybe about 35-40% of the bosses I was able to beat on my first try. But yeah, I mean, that's just my play style, though. I know, Jay, you probably play the game a little different, don't you?
I mean, I'll use a summon if the boss is just absolute. Like if I'm stuck on a boss for like 50 attempts, I'm gonna try to use whatever I got. But yeah, I agree that a lot of the bosses you find in the crypts and dungeons in the open world, some of them aren't too bad. Where you can just go in there, and if you're a decent level and you have good stat investment, you should be able to take it out pretty easily. But for like demigods and like Melania, which I haven't gotten to yet, and all of the shard bearer guys, they can be a little bit difficult. But there's some builds now. Like every day is coming out with like a new build for a weapon, and it's just really it's really cool to see the game in the early stages.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed that I think is really cool is everyone is kind of doing it their own separate way. Like everyone is kind of playing the game their own separate way. Like some people like to really over explore areas that they are in and find all the secrets and find all the optional
Yeah,
dungeons and bosses. Some people want to just blast right through it. Some people are trying different like weird builds that aren't very popular, but they're just, making it a little more challenging for themselves that way. And then yeah, some people are playing like strictly multiplayer or they're really utilizing the multiplayer aspect. So yeah, I'm excited to start playing it here eventually, but it's kind of cool to I've watched a bunch of streamers and yeah, it looks like a really fun game and everything I've heard from everybody is that it's a masterpiece. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
I think Gator, what you'll like is invading other players. Our buddy James, a friend of ours, he's been doing a lot of invading, and I actually like to do some invading here and there.
Yeah.
But it's a little tricky because you can invade, two guys that are co-oping, so you could invade like a group of two,
Yeah.
and they'll just kill you, or you can invade somebody, and there'll be one guy, and it's always great when like you know I'll invade and I'll have a great sword, and the guy I invade, he has a great sword, and it's like, all right, any man goes. And there's like a little bit of like etiquette for like these Dark Soul, like, these guys that are sweats when they do when they PvP, and they say, you don't chug a potion, you don't heal, you go until you're dead. And so there's like a lot of little nuances to the PvP, but you can really do whatever you want. You bought the game, you spend the money for it, play it however you want. So that I really like.
Right.
I enjoy that. I enjoy invading. I want to beat the game. I want to beat the game and get an ending, and then I want to do uh, a new game plus, or I want to make a completely new character and play it co-op with two other people. And
Sure.
I think that'd be really fun. Like I know another buddy of ours, Gator, Jason. He uh, he was telling me the other day that he wants me to get through the game so we can make new characters, and then we meet up at the Lights of Grace where where we want to do stuff at, and then we just co-op him in.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of fun, just trying to take on all these bosses with hardly any levels, and just trying to go at it as a team of three. That's another great thing about the game. Everyone's they're gonna have their own chivalry to the game, or their own kind of this is the way how you play it. You're gonna have those guys that'll speed run. You'll have those guys
Yep.
max out all their incantations and try to like one shot bosses. You're gonna have your magic casters. You're gonna have the guys that are just gonna want to play with no summons, nothing on every boss, and try to beat it as a minimalist. And then I've even seen some people try to do pacifist runs in the game, which is kind of funny. I don't know how they are even going to be able to do that, but that's just the good thing about the game. You can play it your way. You can just do whatever you want.
Sky's
And
the limit.
yeah, the sky's the limit. And I know there's been a lot of like Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 players that are saying, no, this game isn't as good as Bloodborne, or it's not as good as Dark Souls 3. They're entitled to their opinion, but I mean, just the sheer aspect of the lore and the bosses and the amount of customizations in the game, and on top of that, the exploration, like those games don't compare to that. Like they don't compare to how much is in Elden Ring, and the amount that was released too when it first came out. Like I don't agree with that. I love Bloodborne, and I have the merits to prove it. I've played Dark Souls 3, not very much. I've watched other people play it. I've watched my friends. Like I was talking about my friend before, Jason. I watched him play it, and yeah, it's a great game. But Elden Ring is something else. Like there's something about Elden Ring that just brings in players that have never even played a Souls game before, and they love it. So yeah, it's you can do whatever you want with it. You play it however you want.
So have you, Jay, have you, like, the one thing I have a PC, but I've got a PS5 that I enjoy playing a lot of games on. So I have Elden Ring on PS5 particularly because my brother has it on PS5. But I'm curious to know, so have you kind of dipped into the mods, or what you can, what type of stuff you can do from a modding standpoint if you own it on PC?
Well,
I'm just kind of curious.
I no, I haven't done any mods with the game, and I don't even know how you'd begin doing mods, because there's I know that there's some mods that they don't want, and there's some mods that they're fine with. I think, but for the majority, I haven't done any modding with the game. I know you're really big into that, but I haven't. I'm sorry to tell you, I haven't
Yeah,
done.
I love it. I love it, but you know, that's just something that usually comes with a lot of Bethesda games in particular. Speaking of which, so kind of the next topic, just I know I make a lot of Starfield videos, so want to talk about that. So recently, I don't know if you guys heard the news. So I think it's a few weeks ago now. So basically, Bethesda came out and said that they're pushing the game back to sometime in the first half of 2023 for the release. So we're no longer looking at a November release date for the game. So that's kind of shitty news to hear, but at the same time, it's also kind of a relief because the last thing you want is to see the game end up like Cyberpunk, or
Or
Anthem,
Fallout 76.
or
Yeah.
Fallout. Oh yeah, Fallout 76. I'm not too I'm not one who's like super worried about that because it's like comparing apples and oranges. Like Bethesda, their niche is single player role playing experiences, right? That was not what Fallout 76 was, right? They have a very good track record when it comes to single player role playing games, which is what Starfield's going to be. So yeah, no, I get that, but they certainly learned a lesson. They certainly learned a lesson for sure with Fallout 76. I think it was a good lesson to learn, and maybe that's a huge reason why they are pushing it back. Now, I'll be making another video I think this next week just because the summer showcase is coming up. In fact, that's I think it's June 6th. So we're gonna like 95% sure we're gonna be getting actual. This will be like they're gonna release actual gameplay footage for the game. So that's kind of exciting. So I'm definitely interested to see how that's going to all shake out. But you know I think with the delay, I think my huge take on it is so one thing that they're doing is that they're basically incorporating a new enhanced game engine. That Starfield's really the first product that is going to be on it. In the last time they did it was with Oblivion, and guess what? They delayed the game. So, and the game still turned out to be absolutely fantastic. And there's a lot who think Oblivion's the best Elder Scrolls title. It's not my favorite, but it's obviously up there.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm personally okay with them delaying it if it means it's going to be more polished at release. Another game, Battlefield 2042, was an absolute disaster flop right
Hmm.
away, and I was a big fan of the Battlefield series, but I tried that one out and left a sour taste in my mouth. So if it takes them a little bit longer to develop Starfield and really make it a great single player experience, then yeah, by all means, go ahead, take those extra few months. They're probably pissed that they're missing the holiday season, but hey, it'll sell more in the long run if it's a good game right out the gate.
It'll certainly will be more sustainable, and I think with Cyberpunk, I think they've done it right because like the game Cyberpunk now is kind of in a good state. It's kind of what I'm hearing. I mean, I actually enjoyed it. Like I bought it even despite all the stuff. Like I enjoyed Cyberpunk, right? And it was really never going to be a game for me that I really played more than once or twice because it has a little too much of a Grand Theft Auto 5 feel or just Grand Theft Auto feel where I do like those games, but I don't like obsess on those games. And so like I enjoyed it. It was always going to be what it was for me, but I think had they released the game the right way, that there would be way more people playing it right now, because GTA 5 and I've mentioned this in another video. GTA 5 is like for, an open world, single player RPG title is like the best selling game of all time, right? And they delayed the game multiple times, right? So there's a formula there, and the formula is pretty simple, and I think it's easy to understand by now. And some studios still seem to get it wrong, but take whatever time you have to take to make sure you get the game right. And if you
Mhm.
release a game and it's not, and if it doesn't meet the expectations of the fan base, you're setting back that whatever the IP is, you're setting that back. Like think about Cyberpunk. There could be people talking about the next Cyberpunk. It could be just as popular right now as Witcher, but it's completely deflated. And so
Yeah.
we may get a Cyberpunk sequel, but that's probably not going to be for 5-10 years, probably closer to 10. And there'll be people that are excited for it when that comes out. But had they done it the right way, then they may have had like a situation like where Bethesda has, where they have two really really strong IPs. They have the Elder Scrolls series and they have Fallout, where they have such strong bases where they're really chomping at the bits to get the next installment. And CD Projekt Red, there was a huge opportunity for them that they completely swung and missed.
Yeah, they bombed it. But I have been playing Cyberpunk a little bit lately, and
Yeah.
yeah, there's been massive patches to help smooth out the gameplay. And yeah, I mean, it's still decently fun. I'm still on my first playthrough, so I don't know the whole thing, the whole story. I've heard the story's very good, but just kind of,
It can
yeah,
be. Which
it's way less
route?
way less buggy than when I played
Yeah,
it the first week when I bought it.
sure. Which route did you go? Because you have the three different. You've got like the corpo path, and you got the what are the other ones?
I'm the street kid. I'm doing
Ooh,
that path.
you street kid, hustler.
Vi or whatever. I forget what her name is. Something like that. V. No,
Yeah.
V.
Well, V's the character regardless, right?
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, this is something like with Starfield, I think they're going to do a much better job with. They're going to have different character backgrounds, where I think it's actually going to feel different. Starfield, we'll wait and see, of course. But like Cyberpunk, depending on which background you choose, you get kind of like the first hour of the game is different, if even that, and then there's like one side quest that you get later in the game from it, basically. But that's about the extent of what that goes. But
Gotcha.
yeah, my kind of theory on Starfield, I think what they're going to do, because Todd Howard has mentioned there's going to be 2 step out moments, which in step out moments he means like, when in Skyrim, when you just leave Helgen, right? You just get out of the dungeon and now you kind of have the whole world as your oyster, or when you escape the prison in Oblivion as an example, or in any Fallout when you get out of the Fallout shelter, right?
Yeah.
Kind of that's the step out moment. In Starfield, what they're going to do for the first time, they're going to have 2, and I think the first one's going to be kind of based on your character background, and then you kind of progress to a certain point. And my theory is kind of like, well, at that point you're probably going to unlock the ability to maybe hop from star system to star system as an example, and then that's going to be your second step out moment.
Yeah. Then there's going to be missions and side quests and side
Oh hell yeah,
characters you meet at those, on those different
endless,
planets. Endless. Yeah. They
endless.
really could. They could keep
Yeah,
expanding it.
yeah. So it's worth the wait. So, we'll just, wait and see. I'll be excited to see what happens from a gameplay standpoint. So thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you on the next cast.